Hey everyone, Gary Elysium's here. Welcome back to another video series that I haven't done in a long time. This is my new CD purchases, part 41. I know you guys really like watching these videos and I like sharing what I recently acquired, so I figured I'd do another video on that. Now before we get in this video, do me a favor. Please hit that subscribe button, like, all that good stuff. Helps support my channel. I'd really appreciate it. And you also get an update every time I post a video. And, you know, I've been posting a lot more videos recently than I have been in the past, I guess, about 2-3 years. I was thinking to myself today, I kind of would like to do one video per day. And I'm going to really push for that, and hopefully I'll be successful doing that. Anyway, enough of me talking. Let's get into this video. I'm going to try to keep it a little short because the last couple videos showing off my Kiss collection and my Sabbath collection and Metallica, they were pretty long, so let's make this a little shorter. So this is stuff I got like at, you know, used CD stores and things like that. First up, I'm a huge Elvis fan. I do not own this, so I had to pick it up. I'm gonna have to hit this with some Google on later. Heartbreak Hotel single. This was released in promotion of the Elvis 56 album, which came out in '96, I believe. So there's only 4 tracks on here. As you can see, it's Heartbreak Hotel and I Was the One. Then there's Take 5, previously unreleased version of Heartbreak Hotel, and a Take 2, previously unreleased version, I Was the One. So yeah, like I said, I'm a big Elvis fan. Had to pick this up, along with this next one, Elvis in Person. So I do own this already as part of a 2 CD set. I believe it's on the second disc of Elvis Presley on Stage, the deluxe version I have. However, I needed to get this as a standalone CD. I don't really like having a full album as, you know, a second disc in the selection. I'd like to have this as a standalone. So I'm glad I have it. You know, obviously not remastered. It's a BMG 1992 RCA release. But I always like this cover, pretty iconic, with the king there. Next up, we have King Crimson. This is a 2000 release called The Construction of Light. Not really familiar with, sorry, I just saw a track on here that I know was on here. I'm not really familiar with King Crimson in the 21st century, I'd say. Robert Fripp is on this, along with Adrian Bello. I probably only owned King Crimson up until probably the 80s, the late 80s. I don't really own anything of them after that, but I'm looking here. There's actually, so tracks 7 through 9 on here is Larks, Tongues, and Aspic, part 4, which is interesting. So definitely got to give this a listen. Next up, I was glad to find this Aldo Nova, Blood on the Bricks. I only own a best of Aldo Nova CD, so I'm glad to finally have a studio release from him. Aldo Nova, just an amazing guitarist. Very underrated, you know, 80s style, hard rock, touch of glam metal, definitely metal guitar, awesome soloing. And this was actually produced and arranged by John Bon Jovi and Aldo Nova himself. Cool stuff here, I'm glad to have. Next we have Bang Tango Live. This was, looks like it was like traded in from a radio station or something. As you can see, the writing on there in the blue marker is a WDBK. They also wrote it on the CD, but it was like super cheap. It was part of a 3 for $5 deal, and I don't really see this that often. Bang Tango is a hard band to find, an awesome band. For those of you that don't know Bang Tango, they are a very heavy band from the 80s, the late 80s, early 90s. They, actually, you know what? Grab, where are they? I'm gonna be right here. So this album is absolutely amazing. Psycho Cafe. This is a 1989 release, but a lot, from looking at the band, you're like, just another Poison wannabe, wrapped up in that same type of music, late 80s. And obviously, you know, there was an overflow of bands look like this. They didn't make it. Their music speaks for itself. Great band. Awesome band. Definitely check out Bang Tango. Next up, surprisingly, I haven't owned this. I have it on vinyl, but I don't have the CD. This is Maverick from George Thorogood and the Destroyers. Obviously, not obviously, but it features the obvious huge hit, I Drink Alone, which still gets played on radio today, along with, you know, he does all these blues covers and all his albums, like Willie and the Hand Jive is on here, along with Crawling King Steak. George Thorogood. Next up, this one I actually did a double take. I couldn't believe I actually found this, because this is like impossible to find or buy on CD. When I looked online in the past, it was crazy expensive, and it's widely regarded as one of the worst albums of all time, just because the band totally changed their sound on this album. I've only heard this before on YouTube. It's not on like Spotify or Apple Music that I know of. Definitely not on Spotify unless they put it up there now, but I don't believe it's on any digital streaming services. The band hates it itself. It's Cold Lake by Celtic Frost. Yeah, as you can see the picture there, there's the guys. This is a really nice shape album. It was used. It's in really good condition. 1988 original pressing. So don't expect, you know, to Megatherian or Morbid Tales or even, you know, Into the Pandemonium. Not even Vanity Nemesis. This is totally different. The band changed their sound. They tried to be more commercial, tried to go 80s hair metal, as you could see the guys there. Overall, from what I've heard listening to it through YouTube, I don't think it's horrible. I mean, it's not what Celtic Frost is. It doesn't sound like Celtic Frost, all their other releases, but it's not a bad album in my opinion. So I'm glad to finally have this, and this will complete my Celtic Frost collection as I have everything else. So that was the one CD by them I needed. Next up, an album I didn't own, Steel Panther, On the Prowl. Steel Panther is just a fun band. What I like about them is like they can joke, but they can play also. They're really good. I mean, I can't even name some of these songs on here, but they're hilarious. What was the one's called On Your Instagram? But yeah, the names and titles are crazy. You know what I like about this band is, you could pause that if you want and see the names and the titles. So these guys are like in like their late 50s, and you know, Michael Starr himself is 60, but they're in amazing shape. They look great. They still perform. You would think they were in their like 30s, early 30s. But yeah, Steel Panther. I kind of, when the Steel Panther first came out, I didn't pay much attention to them because I just thought it was a novelty band, just kind of a joke. You know, they do have funny lyrics. They make joke out of their lyrics. That's their thing. But they're a good band. I like them. All right, next up, from Black Label Society, Doom Crew Incorporated. I believe this is the last BLS album I needed to, you know, finish my collection. You know, I also own Pride and Glory and the two Book of Shadows albums. Thinking about maybe doing the Black Label Society / maybe just Zakk Wylde album ranking, because I can put in the Book of Shadows CDs and I can throw in Pride and Glory. But this is a digipack from E1 Records. If anyone hasn't heard of E1, check out their website. They're pretty cool. They've been releasing some recent stuff, most notably Ace Frehley. And there's a couple remasters from Black Label Society. Like they did a Sonic Brew remaster. You know, it's all white. I think it's like is it a 20th anniversary? It might be a 20 or 25th anniversary. But yeah, they have some cool stuff on there, and that's kind of a label that's not really that well known. So it's the letter E and then the one spelled out, EONE. Next up, speaking of completing my collections, this was the last Mercyful Fate album I needed to complete to get everything by Mercyful Fate. This is the EP called The Bell Witch, released in 1994. This is actually a original Metal Blade pressing. So 2 tracks, The Bell Witch and Is That You, Melissa, are just, you know, studio versions taken from their new album at the time, In the Shadows, which was released in, I believe, in 93. The rest, 4 tracks live, Curse of the Pharaohs, Egypt, Come to the Sabbath, and Black Funeral. So yeah, excited to finally own that. Next up is a guy I've heard of. I know him. I never actually listened to his music though. So obviously I prefer physical media, but I do own Spotify because I hate that the bands make nothing on it basically. But I gotta listen to music. So I use it to, like, if I'm, cutting the lawn, or if I'm working, when I go to the gym. I don't really go to the gym that often anymore, but when I will go to the gym, I'll be listening to Spotify again. Anyway, I was out in my shed, and there's no electricity hookup out there, so I had to throw on a shuffle of Spotify playlist, and John Norum came on. And I didn't know who it was. I'm like, what is this song? This song is awesome. So it was Back on the Streets from John Norum. So I went out and, I got John Norum. Got a couple of his albums. This is Total Control. This is the one I was really looking for because of the song Back on the Streets. Oh, man, great stuff. So John Norum was actually the guitarist of Europe, and he left in '86 to do his own thing. And honestly, I prefer, maybe because I'm new on him right now, I would throw John Norum on over Europe, in my opinion. I do like Europe, but I mean, this guy is just awesome. I'm really, really glad I found him. Along with a couple, so we're going to go a little, the rest of these albums are going to be from Rock Candy, actually. I have 5 more to show from Rock Candy. So we got this, Rock Candy said this is his sophomore release. What's this called? Face the Truth. And the cool thing about Rock Candy is it tells you everything you need to know about the CD if you're unsure. And then I have found this also, Another Destination. So cool to get all 3 of these John Norum albums at once. This is his 3rd release, and I'm really looking forward. I've been listening to this a couple times already. I didn't throw these 2 on yet, so I'm excited to throw them on. And speaking of John Norum and Europe, I grabbed this one, Prisoners in Paradise from Europe. I didn't own this, so I figured, hey, why not? It's there. I like Europe. Let's throw it on. I should know these things. I'm trying to see if John Norum is on this. Nah, so this came out in '91, so he would not be on this album. Although that looks like him right there. I don't know, don't listen to me. Anyway, I'm sure someone will drop it in the comments, but yeah, I'm going to do some research on that to see if he is on an album. Because that does look like him right there. Anyway, 2 more to show. Love Hate. This is Blackout in the Red Room from Rock Candy. Love Hated, for those of you who are unfamiliar. It was fronted by Jizzy Pearl. Jizzy Pearl would go on, he's still singing, doing his own thing. He sang with LA Guns, kind of a notorious staple in that whole 80s heavy rock, hard rock, heavy metal alum. Another one by Love Hate. This is their 2nd album. This was released in '92. This is Wasted in America. So basically, the one thing I read on the back here to describe this is a cross somewhere between Guns N' Roses and Skid Row. It's 2 pretty good late 80s bands to be in the same conversation with. Anyway, that is my newest CD purchases video. I appreciate everyone for watching. Next up, I'll be doing a question and answer video. Again, get those questions in, so if you have any questions to ask. And one more time, please hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.